Hello, my dearest friends. I hope you are all feeling well today. I have been waiting for a moment like this, a moment to share something so close to my heart, something that has touched me deeply and reminded me of the kind of love that quietly shapes our lives. Today's story is different from anything I usually share with you. It is personal, tender, and it carries a weight of emotion that I cannot fully describe with simple words. So, I invite you to sit comfortably, perhaps with a warm cup of tea or even a soft blanket around your shoulders, because this is a story that lingers in the heart long after it is told. As I begin, I want to tell you about my father. Our relationship has always been unique, filled with unspoken understandings, gentle lessons, and moments of laughter that only he and I share. Of course, like any parent and child, we have had our misunderstandings and our moments of friction. He is a man of traditions, one who values steadiness, reliability, and a life that follows a clear path. From a young age, he has taught me the importance of responsibility, discipline, and thoughtfulness. These lessons, though sometimes strict, have always come from a place of profound care. When I first shared with him my dreams, my desire to pursue a path less conventional, to explore my own voice in ways that did not fit neatly into the expected mold, he did not fully understand. He would give me a look, a mixture of concern and curiosity, that spoke volumes more than words ever could. Occasionally, he would gently remind me of more secure paths, those tried and true ways that promised stability. And yet, even in his concern, there was an undercurrent of support, quiet but unwavering. It is only now, with the wisdom of hindsight, that I can see how deeply he cared and how carefully he watched over my choices, always ready to lift me up when I needed it most. About 6 months ago, life felt heavier than usual. My work, my passions, and the dreams I had nurtured for so long seemed suddenly distant, as if the world were moving ahead while I remained tethered by uncertainty. My channel, something that had once filled me with such joy and anticipation, seemed to stall. The growth I had hoped for did not come, and every video I posted felt like a small ripple that never became a wave. The algorithms, unpredictable and cold, seemed indifferent to the heart I poured into my content, and doubt crept into my mind like a shadow I could not shake. The pressure mounted, and the bills, though not insurmountable, felt like a weight on my shoulders. I began to question my choices, to wonder whether I had been foolish to follow a path that seemed so unclear. There were days when even getting out of bed felt like an effort, when the thought of opening my laptop and facing the camera seemed exhausting. And yet, through it all, my father seemed to know, in ways that I could not explain, that something was amiss. Perhaps it is a gift that many parents possess, a subtle intuition, a way of seeing into our hearts when words fail us. He did not ask directly, at first, but there was a softness in his eyes, a quiet concern that spoke louder than anything he could say. I remember the week before everything changed. We had dinner at my parents' home, a familiar comfort of family and routine. My mother had prepared her lasagna, the kind that warms the soul, and we gathered around the table as we often did. My father, normally reserved but present, seemed quieter than usual. He asked questions, gentle and probing, about my work, about my videos, and about the little dreams I had not yet spoken aloud. What equipment I used, what I wished I could have, the kind of space where my creativity could flourish. He listened intently, as if cataloging every detail, every wish, every hope. I thought little of it at the time, assuming only that he wanted to understand me better. Then came a morning that began like any other. I woke to a message from him, asking if I could come over to his home. He said he needed help with something, which, in our daily lives, was quite ordinary. I got dressed, threw on something casual, and made my way to his house, my mind wandering through the mundane tasks I expected to assist him with. The traffic was slow, as it often is, and for a fleeting moment, I thought of postponing, yet I did not. Perhaps, somewhere deep down, I had a sense that today would not be ordinary. When I arrived, the first thing I noticed was a stillness, an unusual calm that hung in the air. The curtains were drawn, and the house felt quiet in a way I had never experienced. My mother was not there, which was strange for that time of day, And there he was, standing at the doorway, his smile broad and his eyes twinkling in a way that made me feel simultaneously curious and unsettled. There was a nervousness in his posture, a rare vulnerability, yet it was paired with excitement that I could feel radiating from him. He led me to the garage, a place that had always been his domain, filled with the tangible marks of years spent in hobbies, work, and quiet solitude. At first glance, it looked as it always had: tools neatly arranged, workbenches in place, a familiar order. But then, with a press of a button, the space transformed before my eyes. It was as if the ordinary had become extraordinary in an instant. My breath caught, and my heart raced in a way I had not felt for years. The garage had become a studio, the kind I had only imagined in my most hopeful dreams. The floor, once cold and utilitarian, now glimmered under professional carpet tiles, soft yet resilient. The walls were painted in shades that spoke to my heart, adorned with sound-absorbing panels, framing the space in a way that was both functional and beautiful. Cameras stood ready, lights positioned with precision, a dual-monitor editing station arranged perfectly. Every detail, every piece of equipment, had been chosen with care, reflecting the time I had spent dreaming of this moment without ever expecting it could truly come. It was not just the physical space that left me breathless. My father had created a wall of memories, a tribute to my journey. Framed thumbnails of my earliest videos, charts with handwritten milestones, screenshots of first successes and moments that had seemed fleeting at the time. All of it showed me that he had been watching, noticing, and celebrating quietly from behind the scenes. The letter he left on the desk, 4 pages in his familiar, messy handwriting, spoke directly to my heart. He wrote of pride, love, understanding, and encouragement, recounting moments I had forgotten, victories and struggles alike, each one carefully remembered. The depth of his thought, the careful planning, the sacrifices he had made, they overwhelmed me. From picking up extra shifts to learning about the equipment, to consulting family and friends, he had orchestrated every detail so that my dream space would come alive. He had stepped far beyond his comfort zone, embracing the unknown to support something that mattered to me so deeply. Standing there, surrounded by love and thoughtfulness, I realized in a way I never had before that support is sometimes quiet, expressed not in words but in deeds, in attention, and in care. It is not always the loudest expressions that matter, but the consistent, patient, and devoted gestures that change lives. That day, the bond between my father and I deepened in ways that cannot be measured, that cannot be fully explained. It was a gift not only of equipment, but of belief, trust, and unwavering love. As I stood there, taking in every detail of the space my father had created, I could feel my heart swelling with emotions I could barely contain. The reality of the moment hit me slowly, almost as if I were afraid to believe it was real. Every corner, every piece of equipment, every small touch spoke to a level of thoughtfulness and care that went far beyond anything I could have imagined. The editing station gleamed, the cameras waited patiently, and the lights seemed to whisper encouragement, as if they had been placed there with me in mind. It was not simply a room, it was a sanctuary, a place where my dreams could grow, nurtured by love, dedication, and understanding. I remember walking slowly around the space, my fingers lightly grazing the surfaces, as though by touching them I could somehow grasp the magnitude of his gesture. The dual monitors reflected the soft glow of the lights, and for the first time in months, I felt a spark of hope that had been dimmed by stress and doubt. He had thought of everything: the chair for long hours of editing, the placement of the lights to capture the perfect shot, the arrangement of cables so meticulously organized that even the smallest detail seemed polished to perfection. It was clear that he had spent countless hours, nights perhaps, thinking, learning, and planning. Then my eyes fell upon the wall he had created for memories, a gallery of the moments that mattered most in my journey. My first thumbnail, clumsy and awkward though it was, hung proudly alongside milestones I had once thought insignificant. There were screenshots of early achievements, milestones marked in tiny, careful handwriting, comments from early viewers that had encouraged me when I doubted myself. Every element spoke of observation, of care, and of pride. My father had remembered everything, quietly noting my victories and challenges as though he were my most devoted and silent supporter. I turned to him, unable to speak at first, and he smiled with that gentle, reassuring look he always has when he wants to tell me that everything will be all right. There was a vulnerability in his expression, a mixture of excitement and nervousness, almost as if he too were afraid I might not appreciate the depth of what he had done. But in that moment, I knew, there was no doubt in my mind, that he had poured his heart into this surprise. Every sacrifice, every late night, every effort he had made was a testament to his love and belief in me. He handed me a letter, folded neatly, written in his unmistakable handwriting, a combination of careful thought and the small imperfections that make it uniquely his. As I opened it, I felt the weight of the words before I even read them. 4 pages long, filled with encouragement, pride, and heartfelt reflections, the letter chronicled his perspective on my journey. He wrote about specific videos, the moments he had noticed my struggles, and the triumphs I had celebrated in solitude. He spoke of watching late at night, trying to understand this world I had chosen to inhabit, a world that was so different from the one he knew. He wrote of belief, of patience, and of love expressed through actions rather than words. I read each line slowly, savoring the sincerity, the devotion, the careful thought behind every word. He had not simply created a studio, he had created a space that communicated his belief in me, a space that told me I was never alone, that my dreams mattered, and that my efforts were seen and appreciated. The reality of it was overwhelming. There were moments when my vision blurred, not with disappointment or doubt, but with gratitude, pride, and love so intense it made me pause and take deep, quiet breaths to absorb it fully. I looked around once more, my gaze lingering on the coffee station he had set up in the corner, a small yet intimate gesture that reminded me of the countless times he had noticed the smallest things that made my life easier or my work more joyful. It was a space that reflected not just the professional side of my dreams, but the personal, the human, the intimate connection between a parent who cares deeply and a child who needs encouragement. Every detail was intentional, every choice a reflection of his understanding, patience, and unwavering support. I remember saying his name softly, almost reverently, unable to articulate the depth of what I felt. He simply nodded, his eyes reflecting the quiet pride he always carries, the kind of pride that does not need applause or recognition. And as I turned to inspect the equipment, the cameras, the lights, and the carefully organized editing space, I realized that this gift was not just about technology or material things. It was a gift of belief, of trust, and of unspoken love, an affirmation that my path mattered to him, even when it was unconventional, even when he might not fully understand every nuance of my work. Later, he told me more about the process, and the story became even more astonishing. The surprise had been months in the making, a labor of love hidden behind a veil of everyday life. He had sought advice, researched equipment, consulted friends and relatives who understood the world I had chosen, and spent countless hours perfecting every detail. The sacrifices he made were numerous. Extra shifts at work, skipped personal hobbies, careful budgeting, and time spent learning new skills. All undertaken quietly, without expectation of recognition, because he wanted to give me something that mattered deeply. It was remarkable to realize how much thought and care had gone into each element. From consulting local experts on lighting and acoustics to studying online tutorials about editing setups, he had immersed himself in a world that was foreign to him, all to ensure that my dream space would be exactly what I needed. The magnitude of his effort was humbling, and it forced me to confront the quiet, often unseen ways that love and support manifest. It is not always loud or demonstrative. Sometimes it is measured, deliberate, and patient, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself in a way that changes everything. As I settled into the space, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The weight of self-doubt that had clung to me for months began to lift, replaced by inspiration and determination. I realized that my work, my dedication, and my dreams were not only recognized by the world, but had been honored most importantly by the person whose opinion mattered most, my father. In that moment, I understood that success is not measured solely by numbers, views, or accolades. It is measured by the impact we have on those who love and support us, the encouragement we receive, and the quiet pride that builds a foundation beneath our feet. We spent the afternoon together in the studio, not speaking much, but sharing glances and gestures that conveyed a depth of understanding words could not capture. Every so often, he would point to a detail, a placement, or a feature, and I could see the thought that had gone into it. The hours spent imagining how I would work and create in this space. It was a shared moment of connection, of mutual respect and love, a reminder that sometimes actions convey what words cannot. That evening, as I left the garage, I carried with me a feeling that would not fade. I knew that this surprise was more than just a gift of material things. It was an affirmation of love, trust, and belief. It reminded me that even when life feels uncertain or challenging, there are those who see our potential, support our dreams, and invest in us in ways that we may not even realize until the right moment arrives. My father had shown me that love is not only spoken, it is acted upon, patiently and carefully, with attention to every detail and a devotion that can transform lives. The impact of this experience went far beyond the immediate joy or excitement. It reshaped my perspective on work, creativity, and family. Knowing that someone I love and respect so deeply believed in me gave me a renewed sense of purpose. Every time I walk into that studio, I am reminded not only of my father's dedication but also of the responsibility I carry to honor that belief through my work. It is a silent motivator, a gentle but powerful push to continue creating, striving, and growing. I also realize that support is often quiet, sometimes invisible to those around us. My father had been my quiet champion, observing my journey without fanfare, celebrating my victories without announcement, and preparing a surprise that would speak volumes without needing to shout. It taught me that love can be patient, strategic, and enduring, and that the people who care for us often go to lengths unseen to nurture our dreams. This moment, this incredible surprise, reinforced a lesson that I hope to carry with me always: the importance of gratitude, patience, and recognizing the efforts of those who support us in ways that may not be immediately visible. It is a reminder that love can be expressed through actions, through sacrifice, and through belief in someone's potential, even when that potential is not fully understood or recognized by the world at large. Standing in that space, feeling the weight of my father's love and dedication, I was filled with an overwhelming sense of thankfulness. I understood that the greatest gifts are often not material, but are those that communicate trust, belief, and encouragement. My father had given me more than a studio. He had given me confidence, inspiration, and a tangible reminder that my dreams were valid, worthy, and cherished. As I left the garage that evening, the sun setting softly behind the trees, I could feel the weight of the day settling over me. Not as a burden, but as a warm, comforting presence. I held in my hands the small things that mattered most: a note, a memory, a smile exchanged between a father and a daughter who had learned to understand each other in ways neither of us had fully anticipated. Driving home, I thought about all the moments that had led to this point, about the countless times he had silently supported me, even when I did not recognize it. I realized that sometimes the people who love us most are the ones who show it not in words, but in their careful attention, in their patience, and in their actions that reveal a depth of understanding that goes beyond what can be expressed verbally. Later that night, as I sat quietly in my room, the letter still clutched in my hands, I felt a profound sense of reflection. I thought about the hours I had spent worrying about growth, about numbers, about whether I was doing enough to succeed in a world that felt overwhelming at times. I realized, in that quiet moment, that what mattered most was not the approval of algorithms or even strangers online, but the belief of someone who had watched my journey from the beginning. My father, in his quiet way, had given me something far more valuable than equipment or technology. He had given me validation, trust, and an unshakable reminder that I was seen, loved, and encouraged. It made me think about the ways we often overlook those who support us. How many times do we assume that love is loud, visible, or easy to measure? But the truth is that love often manifests in subtle ways, in the hours someone sacrifices, in the quiet encouragement that is never announced, in the careful planning that leads to a moment so meaningful it leaves us speechless. My father had shown me that love does not need to be spoken constantly to exist. It can be present in the things we notice, in the preparation we make for others, and in the joy we take in helping someone grow. The days that followed were filled with reflection, gratitude, and renewed purpose. I spent hours in the studio, each session infused not just with creative energy, but with the quiet reassurance of my father's belief. Every click of the mouse, every frame I edited, every video I planned and recorded was accompanied by a sense of responsibility to honor his effort, to honor the trust he had placed in me, and to make the most of this opportunity that he had crafted with such care. It was no longer simply about pursuing a dream. It was about cherishing the faith someone had placed in me and letting that faith guide my work. I also began to notice, more than ever before, the small acts of love and support from those around me. Friends, family, and even acquaintances have ways of encouraging us that we may not immediately recognize. Perhaps a quiet gesture, a thoughtful message, or a willingness to listen is as transformative as any grand act. My father's surprise was a profound reminder that support is not always what we expect it to be. Sometimes it is invisible, patient, and waiting for the perfect moment to reveal itself in ways that leave us deeply touched and forever changed. Sharing this story with you now, my beloved friends, fills me with a sense of connection and hope. I want you to know that the people who believe in you, even silently, are shaping your journey in ways you may not fully see. Their actions, small or large, matter more than you realize. Just as my father's quiet attention and dedication manifested in a tangible way that transformed my life, the support of others often has a ripple effect, giving strength, confidence, and courage in ways that endure far longer than we can measure. I also realize something very important about dreams and the paths we choose. Often they may seem distant or impossible, especially when those we love do not fully understand them at first. My father did not initially grasp the significance of being a content creator, of dedicating myself to a platform that required patience, creativity, and resilience. And yet, despite his uncertainty, he found a way to support me profoundly. He invested time, effort, and love into creating a space that would nurture my passion, teaching me that love often transcends understanding. It can exist even when someone does not fully know the world you inhabit, and it can be expressed through actions rather than words. I hope that, as you watch this, you can take something from my story. Perhaps there is someone in your life quietly supporting you, silently observing, and believing in your potential. Perhaps it is a parent, a friend, a sibling, or a mentor. And maybe, like me, you have overlooked the small signs or moments that reveal their love. I encourage you to notice these gestures, to appreciate the effort behind them, and to allow their faith in you to fuel your courage and determination. Support is transformative, and recognition of it often changes not just our perspective, but the trajectory of our lives. Reflecting on my father's incredible surprise also taught me something about gratitude. Gratitude is more than saying, "Thank you." It is living in a way that honors the trust and belief someone places in you. It is channeling the love you receive into your work, your relationships, and your own actions toward others. Every time I step into the studio, I am reminded of this, and I feel a quiet responsibility to continue creating with dedication, care, and passion. This gratitude does not weigh me down, it lifts me up, motivating me to pursue my dreams with even more focus and commitment. I remember the moment, late that night, when I finally sat down at the editing station and allowed myself to breathe. I pressed the power button, feeling a thrill of anticipation as the monitors flickered to life. I looked around the studio at the lights, the cameras, and the meticulous organization, and I realized that this was more than a gift, it was a message. A message that I mattered, that my dreams mattered, and that hard work, resilience, and dedication are always recognized by those who love us. I felt an overwhelming sense of connection, not only to my father but to the larger journey of creativity and purpose that I had chosen. I also felt inspired to give back, to reflect this same love and care to others in my life. If someone has quietly supported you, even in ways you may not fully understand, it becomes a responsibility to honor that effort, to work diligently, and to pursue your dreams not just for yourself, but as a testament to the trust they have placed in you. This lesson is one I carry deeply, and one I hope to share through my work, my actions, and my interactions with those around me. In the days and weeks that followed, the studio became more than just a workspace, it became a sanctuary. Each video I created, each edit I completed, and each plan I made was infused with the memory of that extraordinary day. It reminded me that love, support, and belief are transformative, and that when someone invests in your dreams, it can change the way you view your work, your life, and your future. My father's act of love was a powerful reminder that dreams are not pursued in isolation, they are nurtured by the people who care for us, often quietly, often behind the scenes, but always profoundly. Sharing this story with all of you today is my way of honoring him, expressing gratitude, and reminding everyone watching that you are never truly alone in your journey. Sometimes, the most extraordinary support comes from the most unexpected places, in ways you may not anticipate, and at moments when it matters most. Look around, notice the small gestures, and cherish the people who quietly invest in your growth, your dreams, and your happiness. Their belief in you is a gift, one that should be treasured and reflected upon daily. And so, to my father, who I know may be watching this now, I want to say thank you from the deepest place in my heart. Thank you for believing in me, for noticing my struggles, for celebrating my achievements, and for creating a space where I can grow and pursue my dreams without hesitation. Thank you for every late night, every extra effort, and every thoughtful detail that went into making this dream a reality. Your love is immeasurable, your support unwavering, and your belief in me eternal. I am who I am today because of your quiet devotion, and I carry it with me in every step of my journey. To everyone watching, I hope this story reminds you to treasure the people who believe in you, even if their love is shown in subtle or unexpected ways. Life is enriched not only by our achievements, but by the faith others place in us, by the encouragement they provide, and by the quiet reminders that we are not alone. Sometimes, the most profound lessons and the deepest forms of love are revealed not through words, but through actions, through patience, and through unwavering support. As we continue on our journeys, let us remember to give back that same love, care, and attention to those around us. Let us honor the trust placed in us, cherish the moments of connection, and create spaces where dreams can flourish. Let us recognize that the support we receive is a gift, one that inspires us to grow, create, and pursue our passions with courage and joy. Thank you, my beloved friends, for allowing me to share this story with you. Thank you for being part of this journey, for listening, and for cherishing the moments that matter most. Remember that the people who believe in you, sometimes silently, are shaping your path in ways that will resonate forever. Take a moment to recognize them, honor their efforts, and let their faith in you inspire every choice, every dream, and every step forward. I am deeply grateful to each of you for being here, for witnessing this story, and for sharing in the emotion and meaning that it carries. And I promise, as we move forward together, to continue to cherish honor and pursue the dreams that have been nurtured with love, patience, and belief. This story is more than a memory, it is a living reminder that love is transformative, support is powerful, and dreams are always worth pursuing, especially when they are celebrated by those who care for us most. Thank you for being part of this journey. I will see you in the next video, and until then, may you always recognize the love around you. May you cherish those who believe in your dreams, and may you never forget the extraordinary power of quiet, unwavering support.